So welcome everybody to the Overthrow, powered by Spond once again at the Premier League Cricket Club. And joining me as always, my colleague, Mr. Hugh Newsom. How you doing, buddy?
Not always as always,
Well,
because
yeah, you did
sometimes
forget
I'm
one,
not
but
here.
that's a different matter, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
most of the time. Yeah,
most of
most
the
of the time. All
time
good. All good. Got some nice new gear from Cooker, haven't we?
we
Yeah, it's
have
lovely.
we
Yeah.
we actually look semi-professional now, which is slightly
Yeah,
worrying.
yeah, yeah.
So anybody wants their team wear from Cookery, come
Mm.
and talk to us, and we'll just pass you on to
I
someone
haven't
anyway,
done a
because
hat
obviously.
though yet. I've got a Kookaburra hat here, but I haven't got a hat. So
No,
they need to
did you? You
sort us
can't
out.
mention Kookaburra. You can't do that.
Oh,
Not in the
sorry.
slightest.
Well, they better sort
Anyway,
me a hat out, haven't they? Yeah.
more importantly, we've got a cracking guest today. Overthrow, building up to the season, and we're talking to a gentleman who I really respect. This he played for one club.
Mm.
Yeah, and that one club thing in most sports these days is almost unheard of, to be frank. And since the age of I think about 12, in 2009, he was at Gloucestershire, but he's retired now, ish, because he's going to become a non-playing pro, but a non-pro playing at Callington in the Cornwall League. We've got Mr. Chris Dent. How you doing, mate?
All good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. Got to ask, yeah. In terms of privilege of playing professional cricket for that long, how proud are you that you did just play for one county, stuck at for all those years from that debut in 2009, I think it was. Incredible career to have.
Yeah, I definitely am. I definitely am. Obviously, I'm from Bristol as well, so to have played, at my local club for as long as I did, yeah, I'm
Hmm.
really proud. I think it'll sink in more as I finish, but I think, yeah, it's obviously rarer nowadays. I feel like when I first started, it was a bit more common, but yeah, it's a lot rarer these days. But yeah, no, I had a great journey with Gloucester, and it probably wouldn't have been the same if I had gone off somewhere else. So it was nice to start and finish there.
11,000 first class runs at an average of 36, six higher than Zach Crawley, who opens for England. Not bitter at all. 2,167 50s. And also the proud owner of the ESPN Cricket Info picture that looks the least like you. I can't imagine that the picture on Cricket Info, that I assume you're about 18 there. I literally, have you got that still in your passport? Do you flop that picture out in the passport when you're going through the airport and
Yeah,
they go, "I'm sorry,
my
sir, this isn't your passport"?
my passport photo is even worse.
Is
It's old.
it?
It's crazy. So obviously had a testimonial 2024, and I did like got all the pictures, all my headshots from over the years, and I reckon my headshots change more than anyone else's. Like most people are pretty similar the whole way through, whereas I've gone like long hair, beard, no beard, blonde hair, like everything. So yeah, I've had a fair few looks over time, but yeah, I definitely look very different to those
And
early
it
photos.
makes me laugh. It's not like Cricket Info haven't got a choice of photos to use. I mean,
No, no.
it's not like
Yeah,
they turned up and took one and said that's the one you're stuck with for the rest of your life, is it? But it's
probably just a bit lazy, aren't they? Can't be bothered to change it. It got one
absolutely.
bad.
We can't afford to be lazy at the Premier League Cricket Club because we don't get paid, so we have to just do everything ourselves anyway. So, in terms of that career, Chris, that 11,000 plus runs first class, 15,000 plus runs overall. I'm going to ask you a really simple question. Which of those formats did you enjoy the most over the years?
Um, the 4 day stuff was always the thing that I really like prided myself on. I think especially at the start of my career, 4 day was the thing. Like everyone talked about trying to get over 1,000 runs, trying to get over 60 wickets. There
Mm.
wasn't like loads of chat about what you did in T20, what you did in 50
Yeah.
over. It was all about what you did in the 4 day stuff. Changed a bit now, but I think that was something I always prided myself on, is how many runs I could get in the 4 day stuff. And there's nothing better than winning a 4 day match. You battle for 4 days with your mates. Sometimes you're away in hotels doing it, and you get a win at the end of those 4 days. There's nothing better than that. Whereas with, 2020, you turn up 3 hours later, you'd be the one who lost. Like it
Mm.
never felt quite the same as battling for 4 days.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think one of
yeah.
the things I find really interesting about that, and Hugh will back me on this, is every single conversation we've had over the last couple of years with an NCCA player, they always say that 3-day Red Bull's the one they enjoy the most for exactly that same reason. I think that's reflective of, we talk about T20, we were talking off air about the 100 and the money that's going around there, but that Red Bull is still full stop, end of story, the pinnacle.
Yeah, definitely. I think it should be. I think it's going to be getting challenged over the next. Well, it already is being challenged, but it'll get challenged even more with the money that's obviously in the 2020 stuff, the franchise stuff. Like suddenly, when you can earn such big cash elsewhere, is slogging it for 4 days in Derby or Leicester or whatever, is it as appealing? Probably not, but hopefully, people will still want to do the hard yards.
Yeah, people always pick on Derby at that moment, And
Do you want to tell him where we're both based?
It's fair enough, though. It is fair enough. Well, I think the race course. I mean, I don't know whether when you played there first, Chris. Apparently, I'm a Notts fan and moved to Derbyshire in 2013. But at the back, the race course used to be completely open. I don't know if you played it there when it was like that, and that would have been horrendous because you're like fetching it from the river.
Yeah, no, it wasn't completely open then, but we obviously changed in those like change rooms that were pitch level.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't explored Derby, if I'm honest. All we ever did was stay in a hotel, not too far away, drive to the ground. That all you see is all the like more industrial stuff. I know that like outskirts where the players live. Obviously, I played with Zach Chappell, so I think he lives in a nice spot in a nice house somewhere around there. So I've only really seen the ground and just around the ground, which it's not the most appealing place to
which is the life of that's the life of a county cricketer. It is literally in do your stuff, get out. Is the only time you might maybe spend some time around a city is if you've had 1 in 2 or 3 days and you've got that little bit of extra time, but no doubt you'd actually want to get back home then as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how it works.
Just talking on the 4-day stuff, the one thing I think everyone always talks about, I mean, it annoys me through the summer, they always talk about the death of Test cricket, like every year the death of Test cricket, the death of 4-day. But all the noise I'm hearing out of, all these IPL comps and the T20 World Cup is like the grounding of 4-day cricket. All the best players are grounded in 4-day cricket. You've got Suryavanshi, aged 8, hitting hundreds for fun, and his dad's like, it's Test cricket. And then Will Smead was, the guy that sort of tried to go that Red Bull, T20 only route and then has come back to 4-day. Josh Butler's having an absolute nightmare. You were going to go on, Josh, go and have a hit in the county championship, because it seems that actually the 4-day creates this foundation for everything else. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously 4-day, your fate's a bit more in your hands when it comes to T20 in the shorter form. Like you go out there, you've got to do a job for the team by scoring fast. You're sort of sacrificing your wicket a little bit. Whereas when it comes to the 4-day, you can like really show like your longevity and your class by just batting as long as you want. And that's what I liked about 4-day, is that I felt like I could be more consistent. I could get in there and bat as long as I wanted. Whereas in T20, it was a bit, I go out there, try and whack it. Before I knew it, I'm out. My day's done, and I was a bit like, it just didn't feel right to me. As much as I enjoy trying to whack it, it's just, it just felt like you just throw your wicket away, and it's not as much pride in your performance in those sort of formats.
I'm just looking at your stats.
Like Josh Butler. I think you're right. Like getting out and getting back to just batting, batting long periods of time.
I've got the perfect example. Perfect example. One of your colleagues, not last season, the season before, Mr. James Bracey, went and played for Bristol for a couple of weeks, scored back-to-back hundreds, came back into the county championship, scored back-to-back hundreds. He got out in the middle and just played the ball, didn't he?
Yeah. No, he's a great example. He, like at the minute, he doesn't play a huge amount of T20, but he's just a lover of batting, just loves getting out there. And I think Gloucester's quite lucky because they've got a few youngsters that are like that. It's even like Ben Charlesworth, who's a great T20 player. He just loves batting, so loves Red Bull, loves batting. Ollie Price is the same. Like they'd bat forever if they could. So Gloucester's lucky in that sense. But I think, think that's good for your career and your progress. Is just, just batting lots and lots and lots. And in T20, you don't like, best case scenario, you bat 60 balls. And if you're batting 60 balls, you probably need to have got 140. Otherwise, you've not done a good job. So it's tricky. And I just think, you can easily get out of nick and struggle to get back in it because you haven't got any time to like give yourself that bit of, that sort of platform. Like Butler has to keep going out there and has to keep trying to whack it. He can't go, I'm going to give myself 20 balls here. You're not allowed to do that. So getting away and playing some longer form might just be what he needs.
Have you found it's changed the T20 stuff in your career? Coming in 2010, 11 when you started, compared to how it was when you finished. Was there a definite shift, almost like there's two games?
Yeah, I think so. I think when I started, it was just like, I remember playing quite early on in my career. I didn't play like loads and loads of T20. And I just remember just feeling like it was just a bit of fun. You just didn't really matter if you got out, like you just had a bit of fun. And then you got back to the main business, which was your 4-day games. Whereas now, I think because there's so much money in it, it's a lot more serious now. Clubs want to win the T20 because there's money in it. Players want to do well in the T20 because then they can get franchise gigs. It's become way more serious because of the financial rewards you get for it. Whereas they weren't there back then. Like there was pretty much only the really early IPL, which only international, the big stars were playing. Otherwise, you made your money by being as good as you could at 4-day cricket and getting a big county contract. Whereas there's obviously a huge shift in that now.
So just taking you back then. So where does it start, Chris, for you? Are you a park cricketer, school cricketer? Where was cricket first happening for you?
My dad was into cricket, so I think at home was where it first started. I didn't go to private school. I went to Backcross School in North Somerset, so that's just a regular school. It wasn't really huge cricketing school, more football, rugby. So I think the Garden was pretty much where my cricket started. Then I ended up playing at a small club called Cleve Creek Club. I played there from 9 till 13, 14, and then I moved to Thornbury because my school teacher was from Thornbury. So he got me to go there, and Thornbury were a good side then. Obviously, they're still a good side, but So then I learnt my cricket there and ended up on Gloucester Academy and pretty much just went through the Gloucester age groups. It wasn't really like, obviously a lot of route now is through private schools. That wasn't my route. It was sort of just did well with Gloucester age groups, worked my way up, and then before I knew it, I was in the academy and into the second team, and
I think there's a real interesting sort of change in that period. I mean, we're only talking sort of early 2000 to 2009. It's not that long ago, and that's now shifted, you say, very much more to the independent public schools. And I picked up on TV the other day about the fact that Joe Root, Harry Brook, they were picked up at sixth form level to go to an independent school. They were at state school beforehand. Do you think we're missing that age-old trick massively there with the amount of players who are not coming through state school and actually still ended up playing at clubs like Thornbury? Because we're a big believer, it all starts at the clubs these days. It used to start at school, but it starts at those clubs, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's almost like two ways you sort of get into cricket. It's either like you go to a private school and cricket's big, or your family, parents, whatever, into cricket, so you get in earlier. I think if you're not in either of those two, you end up picking up a bat almost too late. And I think, for example, like Joe Root, like up north, I think cricket's personally, I haven't been up there a lot, but like cricket is played more in families, whereas down south it feels more football, more rugby. So like they would have just been in, probably picked up a bat early at home like that, and then in their state school they're ahead of everyone else, and suddenly off you go. But I think there's either two ways in. You either your parents are into it, so you get exposure early, or you go to private school. Because if you're exposed to cricket at 15, you're catching up. You know,
Yeah.
It's a bit
it's
like
tricky. It's a big catch
yeah.
up.
Yeah, I think the family thing is absolutely right, and
Massive.
also the school thing. I mean, one of the things about the private school thing is that cricket's a stupid game. You know, you stand out there, and if you're bad at it, which you are when you start, you're out there for hours doing something you're bad at, and in order to become good at it, you've got to keep doing it. And at school, they make you do it. So, like you say, you start when you're very young, and you just get good at it without realizing. Or if you're starting, it's a really difficult game to just start. We've got a young lad in our, he's heading into our first team. He started when he was 11 and he's into our first team. He's 15 now, you know, which has been absolutely incredible because I just haven't seen anybody else do that like he has, to go from pure football to cricket. And that was lovely to see because everybody else is, you know, literally, you know, had a little quick cricket bat in their hands, and so were two. But so you've gone through the Somerset pathway. Sorry, Somerset. Stop. Reset. Gone through the Gloucestershire pathways, but there's a trip, I think, to the Willerton Dragons in Perth. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And where you played with a certain Cam Bancroft.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that
and
was when I was 18, 19, I think.
Yeah. I've got a lovely scorecard for you. Willerton versus Rockingham Mandurah at Teague Wiley's club. Cam Bancroft 10. You got 102. So there you go. So
I'll be honest, that is
nice.
the only scorecard that I'd have outscored him in. Because I had a shocker. I had a shocker over there. I think that was the only 50 plus score I got, and I'm pretty sure I averaged about 15 and I got 100.
I think you got dropped to second grade and you got 61, so well done there. Yeah.
I think I bowled in the second grade. I bowled some seam as well. Yeah, I'll be honest, when I went over there, I was still very, very immature. So I didn't go to training much. I spent most of my time lifting weights on the beach and then drinking.
Nice.
It was I grew up because that was the first time I'd lived on my own. So I got out there. I lived with some other players that were in county cricket, like young players at county cricket. So I had a great time. But yeah, I certainly wasn't. I wasn't great for the club. I'll be honest.
7.4 overs, 4 for 32. So,
yeah,
wow,
useful. Yeah,
that was a good time. But back then, I wasn't being paid to play there. So I just went over there in the academy. I got gifted to a club.
Yeah.
So it's very different if you're over there as a youngster and you've been given to a club compared to like being shipped over.
Yeah.
Your flights being paid for. Like then you've got to switch on. You know, that's your responsibility is to go over there and do well. I was just a young kid who was pushed towards this club and told you got to play for him.
So was that with the Gloucestershire Academy basically sent you over there? Is that how it worked?
So yeah, I went over and there was a guy called Paul Terry who ran an academy. So I basically just went over there, trained in the week with them all week, basically. So I was there to do that academy, and then I was basically given a club. So that was the club cricket wasn't, in my mind, the main event. It was the training, the gym work, all of that stuff was the main event, which probably was why I was a bit useless.
And it's really weird sometimes, these calls and these recordings that we do. There's a real full circle there. You played against Rockingham Mandurah, as Hugh said, Teague Wiley's club, one of the friends of our pod, big time. Cam Bancroft, friend of our pod, Rory Hayden, took his very first class wicket, and it was Cam Bancroft playing for Gloucestershire, I think, or was it Glamorgan or Gloucestershire at the time? I can't remember.
I think it would have been, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Rory took that wicket. It's like full circle there, Hugh. You couldn't have pulled them together even better. You probably didn't try there, did you, mate?
No. And you had another season over there, 2013-14 at Melbourne as well. So was that were you more grown up there? And that was you didn't get 100, but you had a very much more consistent season there.
Yeah. I was more grown up there. I went over there with my partner as well, so I couldn't go out drinking as much. But yeah, no, I had a good time over there. I enjoyed it. I actually was lucky enough to play quite a bit of cricket with Marcus Stoinis, who was he was very early on in his career. So I think he hadn't played a first class game, I don't think. And I remember playing with him and just thinking, Jesus, this guy is next level. I they raved about him, but I'd never really heard of him. And I sort of I look at his record, he hadn't really done anything. I was like, surely this guy can't be as good as they're saying. And he was elite. And then I think he got his first 100 for Vicks when I was out there.
Yeah, he scares me. I'm scared of Marcus Stoinis. He's a big unit, isn't he?
He's a really nice guy though. Really nice guy. But yeah, he's a big lad.
absolutely.
Did this help? Did these winters help you, or are they just a lot of fun when you're a pro cricketer? That is, rather than
I think
a backpacker.
they're obviously, yeah, they are fun. I think the cricket is tough. Like, obviously they joke over there and say, oh, first class cricket is similar to grade cricket, blah blah blah. They say that, and it's not, but they take it so seriously.
Yeah.
It almost like is a bit of a shock for someone from the UK. When you play club cricket in the UK, you play, you have a bit of fun, you try and do your best, but it's not like, they don't take it that seriously. And then you go to Oz and it's literally like you're playing international cricket. Like, train, doing fitness, you're doing all this, your team talks, everyone's shouting at each other, coaches shouting at you, you make a wrong decision, you get shouted at, you're like, what is going on here? I came over here to get some sunshine, hit some balls. Suddenly it's like I'm getting shouted at more than when I played back for Gloucester. Like, it's a bit of a shock. It is, they take it very, very seriously, and I think that like intensity can like catch you out a little bit.
Do the Aussies bring that when they come and play? When you've played with Australians over the years, does that sort of leak out of them when they're playing, or actually is that sort of just it contained within grade cricket?
I think it's just contained in grade cricket, if I'm honest. Like, you get Aussies over here, come play county cricket, and they're real chilled, and it's like you're relaxed, and then grade cricket, they just lose their heads.
And do you know what? We spoke to Jordan Silk 2 years ago, and he found it exactly the same. He came over here and played Premier League cricket and just thought, this is great. This is turn up, play cricket, enjoy myself. Yeah, and obviously our Premier League cricket is not quite Premier/grade cricket over in Australia, but he recognised the difference there, definitely. So let's talk about what you're doing right now, though, Chris, because obviously you've come out of the professional game, and like any professional, you've got to do something else now. You're still in your mid-30s. With the utmost respect, you're of an age that you weren't there when all the bloody big money's come through. So you haven't earned you haven't earned Harry Brook 400,000 for 6 weeks' work. Come on. You've set up the academy. Now I'm going to just say something straight away to you. You're having a lot of bloody fun with your academy and your videos and your reels that you're putting together. And you, Mr. Dent, are trying to hit the ball hard a hell of a lot more, aren't you?
I think I've hit more balls this winter than I've ever hit in winter. Like, I wasn't a massive fan of hitting during the winter, and obviously making videos, etc. I'm just trying to. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of coaching, one-to-ones, group stuff, which is the serious stuff. But with the social media, I'm just trying to have a bit of fun with it, really, and just make something interesting that people want to watch. I don't know if they do, but like, it's just something different. I don't want to preach on there about elbow here, foot here, that. I just want to have fun with it, and like, when I'm doing all these hitting stuff, because I'm trying to specialize a bit in power hitting. It was something that over COVID I did a lot, trying to specialize a bit in that. When I'm doing these, like, I'm learning as I'm doing them. Like, I'm finding drills from baseball, other sports, and I'm testing them out. I'm trying to see if they work, if they don't. And I think that's one of the advantages I've got at the minute, is I'm obviously still young enough and fit enough to do this stuff, so I can explore it rather than just saying this is what you got to do. I'm trying to actually do it and see if it works. So I'm enjoying it, and it's a lot of fun trying to whack it. I'll be honest, it's tiring. Every now and then I wake up with a bit of a sore back, but it's good fun.
Baseball's a wonderful sort of resource, because they've had 150 years of money thrown at them, and people have spent an awful lot of money going down a lot of rabbit holes to try and get the edge, and it's money that cricket doesn't have. So basically you can tap into research that's and like you say, will it work, will it won't? Is there anything specific that you've picked out recently that's really from baseball, or that really feel is maybe missing in cricket?
There's a few things, and you're right, baseball is great because they research it, they try, and they're always trying to progress, whereas I feel like cricket, just the whole time I play, I just felt like everything was always the same. Like, you're always saying, you train the same, you're like, nothing really like progressed that much. So baseball's great because there's, like you said, there's so much information. I think some of the stuff I've been looking at, which again, like I said, I'm trying to work out how relevant it is in cricket, because obviously it is different, but at the end of the day, you're still hitting a ball, so like the elements still apply. But things that I've seen about like swing quickness, which is basically how quickly you can go from deciding to hit the ball to actually launching your swing. And I think in baseball they're very good at it. They get in a position early, and then as soon as they want to swing, they can swing. Whereas in cricket, we get in like an okay position, and then we say, "Oh, I want to hit the ball now. I've got to take my bat up. I've got to do this," and it's all just very slow.
Yeah.
So that, and then also just like the actual position you're getting into, I just feel like, especially in T20, a lot of batters just try and have the same stance or the same. Whereas you're not trying to fool anyone. Like the bowlers know you're trying to whack them. Everyone knows you're trying to whack them. Why aren't we getting in like a better power position early to be able to hit it? I use an example of golf. Like you wouldn't hit your driver in your putting stance.
No.
So like, why are we getting in the same stance we always do to try and hit six when we can actually earlier get into a nice, strong, powerful position? So I've been doing a bit of stuff with some professionals. I've been working on it, and it's I'm just really interested in like just what we can add to cricket, looking at baseball. But like I said, it has to work. Like there's a lot of things that won't work because you're not just getting full tosses outside off.
Are you the guinea pig then? Are you the guinea pig for all this stuff? Are you guinea pigging yourself?
A little bit.
In the name of the cause.
Pretty much. I'll tell you what. I've spent an arm and a leg on hitting aids from America, because everything, you can't get anything from the UK. There's nothing. So I have to buy all this stuff from America, and I'm just it hurts, but I'm willing to invest in like trying to just find some different ways of training or different techniques that can work.
Yeah. Chris Dent's baseballsurplus.com for all the broken baseball gear.
Stuff,
It's really interesting you say that. I'm going to use a football analogy that I was reading about yesterday. There's a great big thing out there right now about Arsenal and their set pieces, and how do you defend this and how do you do that? And the Premier League's gone mad for set pieces this year, as we know. And then I read a great article. I've been saying the same thing to the telly day, week in, week out. And I read a great article about, I can't remember which non-league side it was, who were facing the same thing with, we're putting all these players into the box. So what the manager did, he went old school. He said, well, I'm going to put 5 people on the halfway line. And if I put 5 of my players on the halfway line, they've got to leave 6 back. And it's changing the thinking rather than, to go back to cricket, I'm going to stand the way I've been taught. I'm going to get my head over the ball. I'm going to get my elbow high. All the stuff that, let's be honest, level 2, 3, 4 and coaches are going to tell you. Actually, it's the same all the way through when you can pick up so many things from other sports. I'm a big believer that hockey is a huge win for many, many cricketers. And one of our absolute local superstars here, Mr. Wayne Madsen, he played hockey for South Africa, and you can see it. And when you see these players now do this bloody no-look flick of but Madders was doing that 10 years ago. This is not something new, is it, Chris?
No, I think it's just been highlighted a bit more now, isn't it, on the big stage? Like you said, who is it? Mao Loy, was it? He used to sweep the seamers.
Yes.
Like years ago, and then suddenly people do it now. Like, this is crazy, but that was when I started. That was what he did. That's what. So I just think, on the big stage, it just gets like, and obviously now people are willing to learn these skills. Back then, it was like, what's he doing? Like, why is he doing that? Whereas now it's like, someone does something, it's like, right, we need to be able to do that. So everyone's learning these skills now, whereas it was just the few that did it back then.
Yeah.
So the flip side of the T20 stuff is there evidence, or particularly from the pro game, that actually focusing on the T20 in terms of maybe muscle groups and shot, does it then impact onto the Red Bull stuff with these guys that maybe lose something in the Red Bull game, or do you think it generally benefits? Obviously there might be moments where they have a big swash when they shouldn't do, but Harry Brook, but.
Yeah, I think it generally does, because realistically, when it comes back to transitioning from T20 to Red Bull, it becomes more of a mental thing. Are you willing to rein it in and bat long? But improving hand speed and improving how hard you hit the ball when you're attacking, like, can only then benefit. But it's the decision making that really is the standout in Red Bull cricket, and also. You'd be surprised how many times once you get in and you're on, I don't know, let's say you're lucky enough to be on 120, you do start putting the pressure back on the opposition. And then if you can go from 120 to 250 quick, like you've taken the game away from them, they're done. And I think, that's what the great players do when they're in. They just dominate the game. And that's what, like your Petersons, those sort of guys, once they got in, they just dominated. So being able to do that, I think, can only be a benefit.
Bethel the other day was a great example, because that 100 he hit, it was it would have looked out of place, particularly on a 4-day game. It was orthodox. It was It was just on a different planet in terms of what he was doing. And you could just take any of those shots and put them in any of the formats, and they'd still be good cricket shots.
Yeah.
Filthy
I
slog.
think what you made me think of there, Chris, in particular, is that, and I've told this story in the pod a while back. I was talking to a gentleman who coached a certain Paul Borrington for many years, who played at Derbyshire and has played in our league in Derbyshire in particular for many years now. And he said, never be surprised to see Paul being 30 not out after 30 overs. No problem. Look where he's at the end, though. That 30 not out is all of a sudden 70, 80, 90 in that last 20, and he's pushing on. And he's doing, and that's proper old school red ball cricket. But as you say, you're able to then flip that pressure straight back onto the opposition, aren't you?
No, definitely. That's what I always found. Like, I felt was one of my strengths when I played, is I was willing to like soak up pressure, because I knew that when I'm in at the back end, I'll catch up. And, I think that's just having like a confidence in yourself that the majority of the time you will catch up. And the odd time you won't. But it's when you panic thinking, I need to strike at 70 in red ball, whereas actually you can strike at 30. And then by the end of your innings, you're striking at 60, 70. And
absolutely
nobody looks back. They just look at the end result.
Now, you just said something historic there. You said, when I played. Now, let's get someone to do straight. You ain't stopped, because our friends at Callington have asked you to come down and play in the Cornwall League this coming summer. I've got to ask, did you have a number of clubs going, do you want to come and get a game?
I had quite a few. I think you become people are more interested in you when you stop playing professional cricket, because obviously you're only allowed a certain amount. But obviously in the Cornwall League, you're only allowed one player that's played over 10 first-class games, is it? So
over 20 is also.
Over 20,
the rules are different everywhere.
Yeah. So like in the Weppel, if you retire, suddenly you're just a normal player and you become very valuable to people. But so I had quite a lot of clubs that they wanted me to do like coaching and thingy. And to be honest, I was planning on just not playing, if I'm honest. I thought after I'd played, I was like, do I really need this? But then I started doing my coaching, hitting, and I was like, actually, maybe playing won't be too bad. So I think that sort of got me back into it. And then they sort of messaged at a good time. They caught me on a high when I was enjoying it.
So what did Mr. Joe White and the Callington boys say to you that convinced you that's the place to go to?
I just think, to be honest, I just liked the thought of a bit of a fresh start. I wasn't going to play. Probably, ideally, didn't really want to then just play for another club locally, because I've played for Thornbury for a long time.
Yeah.
And then obviously I knew that Max was coached there, and I've played with him a lot and against him a lot. So I just felt like it'd be a nice change. And obviously I'm going down there on Friday to do some coaching with their young batters, and then I stay over. So it becomes a little bit of an event, like when you play county cricket, when you stay over, you play some cricket. I just think the change was what I wanted.
Yeah, and in terms of standards, what are you thinking you're going to meet down in the Cornwall League compared to your day-to-day playing for Gloucester, or even what you know of the Weppel, your local league?
From what I've heard, from my information, it's like a similar standard to Weppel, but I've heard Callington's pitch isn't the greatest. I'm
going to tell you what a bowler said to me this morning, who played in the Cornwall League last year. He's playing on a pudding.
Yeah. So I think, the wickets could be interesting. But then when I played for Thornbury, obviously in the first division of the Weppel, you get to play on some nice wickets, Bath, Gloucester, these sort of wickets. Whereas when you drop down into the the like second division Weapon, which I played some years with Thornbury with, you go to some ropey grounds, so you sort of work out how you need to play on not great wickets. And also, when I go over to Cape Town and play in South Africa, I've done it 3 times. You come up on some pretty not great ones because they can't. A lot of the time they're not allowed to walk the wicket sometimes, so they're going through the top. You got to get used to that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge of that. To be honest, like you play on a good wicket, 120 is a good score as for a batter. You play on a bad wicket, 60 is a match-winning score. So you just got to change your standards to what you're playing on effectively.
You've played a lot with Thornbury over the last looking back here since 2004. 5,000 runs on the Play Cricket scorecard. Why were you so happy to keep dipping back? Do you not feel like, do you know what, middle of the summer, I'm a pro, I'll just have a day off here?
Well, I played a lot more for the more back end of my career when I wasn't playing as much for Gloucester, and I just think it's nice to get out and bat and score runs. I remember, I think it was the 2019 season when we got promoted, and it was one of my better seasons. I kept going back and playing for Thornbury. I just think like just continuing to bat and score runs, no matter what level, is good. It just keeps you in a rhythm of like batting a long time, assessing conditions, like having pride in performing. I just felt like it was actually good for my game. And yeah, I enjoyed it, and I was lucky enough to get some decent scores for Thornbury, and when you get in and you're whacking them, there's no better feeling than that effectively.
There's a nice scorecard from last year, Thornbury versus Taunton St Andrews. You got 149 off 107 balls, and on the Taunton St Andrews team, we've got Archie Vaughan out for 24, Thomas Rue out for 23. Do you sit there, this was not short, just a few days short of your retirement, just sort of going, yeah, still got it, better than these lads,
It is nice to show some of the young up and coming lads that I can still play. That was nice. Yeah, that's like the pride you have in yourself. You still want to show people that you've still got it and why you had a successful career. It's nice to show that. But saying that was the first time I saw Thomas Rue play. He didn't get that many, but I remember the rain was coming in. In the end, it got rained off, I think, but the rain was coming in, and he hit like 2 or 3 sixes effortlessly, and I thought this kid's a good player. He's a good player, and then obviously we've seen he's a very, very good player.
Very proud, aren't we, Hugh, on this show, that it's over 2 years since we said his name.
2 years, yeah.
And it was sort of, the last 6 months, his name's been everywhere, and we just keep putting out there saying, well, if you listen back 2 years ago plus, we were telling you about this one. It was so bloody obvious. And then Lloyd Alley, our friend at Taunton St Andrews, was the one who said, with utmost respect, he's probably a better player than his brother.
Yeah, I think his brother said that as well, didn't he?
He did at some point.
Yeah, I think he seems more naturally talented, but James Rue, he reminds me a bit of James Bracey. Like they've just got that like real grit and determination. Yeah, and like may not like always look the nicest in the nicest way possible, because they do play nice shots, but they've just got something about them that just wants to always get runs.
Yeah. You want them both in your side because they give you something different, don't they? But question I was going to ask you, it was great hearing that, wasn't it? Yourself, Archie and Thomas all played in the same game. Do you think it would be far better for the county game as a whole, and clearly for the Premier Leagues out there as well, if far more players did do what you did there and did drop down to the Premier Leagues? Because you're talking about this many percent still, Chris, that actually dropped down. Do you think it would be far better for the game generally?
Yeah, I think so. I remember when I started for Thornbury, it felt like there was like always those older professionals, the guys that just left the game they were playing. It felt like a really high standard. And I remember when John Bracewell was our coach back in the day, it used to be you get assigned to a club. Obviously, I was homegrown, so I was at Thornbury, and it was like, right, this weekend everyone's playing. Right, off you go. And it was like non-negotiable. You couldn't go, oh no, I've got a sore toe. They go, no, you're off. Go play, and you just got told to do it. Whereas now, it's not quite the same. I think the problem is back in the day, I felt like there were a lot of bowlers that would play, whereas now, like bowlers are obviously just wrapped in cotton wool. They can't go and play. which is like for a club, I understand. You know, they're very valuable. But yeah, I think like adding if those bowlers were to play, then yeah, you know, you get those youngsters that get some exposure against those guys. It's things that you look back on when you get older and think I played against him, I faced him, I faced that. You know, yeah, those are the memories.
I can't believe I'm saying this the second time this week. Our favourite story from last year: a certain Mr. Richard Gleeson rocking up to play for Blackpool in a car that got broken down on the M61, I think it was, or 65, I don't know, on the way up to Carlisle. But they still ended up going up there, Blackpool, and he's back playing with his club, you know. And you know, our friend Mr. Matt Taff loves it when Glees turns up for nets. I think I'm sure he's not coming in at full pace, but actually, it's a great argument that you can have year in, year out, isn't it? Do you keep going and keep the form going and or do you rest? I'm with you as a batter. I think batters just need to bat as much as they bloody well can. Bowlers.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm even hearing now that wicket keepers are told not to play in case they damage their fingers. I mean, Chris.
That's the problem, isn't it? Now, like the more money that comes into the game, the more valuable everyone is, and you can understand with why counties would be like it because they're their assets. You know, like if someone gets injured, you've got to probably pay to get someone on loan, blah blah blah. But yeah, I guess back in the day it was just less. There was less sort of mollycoddling, if that's the right saying. There was less of that back in the day.
Oh, 100% is the right word. I think the nice thing is we were able last year to see the likes of Gus Atkinson roll out in the Surrey Championship. You know, there were one or two happening there, but we've also seen in the last year or two, and it's our favourite subject in the world, is more players from Premier League and NCCA starting to sneak their way into that first class and get signed, etc. Yeah. Do you fancy playing a bit of NCCA yourself this summer?
It's, you know, I've thought about it, and there's a chance I might play a little bit for Cornwall while I'm down in Callington. They've got a one-day cup going, so there's been some conversations. I'm not 100% sure whether it's over the line or anything like that, but you know, while I'm down there, I thought, you know, give it a go. I haven't ever played any minor county stuff before. I've obviously played against minor counties, but no, I've never played any of it, so it'll be a new experience for me. I'll be honest, the longer form I've been put off by, because everyone says that you play whatever 120 overs and the thought of that makes my body sore just sat here. But I'm sure it's different to that, because I hear a lot of spin gets bowled, so it gets through the overs a lot quicker than you do in county cricket when you do 96 overs a day and you end up finishing at 7:30 at night. So yeah, I'm sure they get through it a bit quicker.
You've just nailed the next question. So why is that, though? Why is it that there's so much more spin? And we've just done an article only a couple of weeks ago, Hugh and I, with Wisden, about left-arm spinners and spinners generally in Premier League cricket and the amount that's being bowled. Why is that not transitioning into first-class cricket? Why are we not seeing so many more? Because let's be honest, England have proved time and time again that we can't play spin. So why wouldn't you want to practice against it? Is it just filtered through the county system that it's got to be seam?
I think, if I'm honest, I just think most of the wickets in the county circuit they don't suit spin. Like you go to obviously test grounds, a bit different. You know, it's harder, it bounces more, but everywhere else, like you could have the world's best spinner, and they're not going to set the world alight. So like, why would you bowl loads and loads of spin when it's not really going to take any wickets? So I just think that's the only real reason, to be honest. Like, we're obviously lucky to have Zafar go for a few years, and he's like a quality spinner. And he was still very good on flat wickets, but like, there's no respect now. If you got a spinner on a flat wicket and you're batting, you think, right, here we go, let's get 30, 40 as quickly as I can. And then the scene comes back on. Like, if it's not conducive, then there's no real value in bowling them loads of overs. And whereas when you go to club grounds, you go to, you know, non-professional grounds, it breaks up a bit more, it's a bit softer, so it spins. So actually there's value in it.
Yeah, I was down at Derbyshire yesterday, and we got Shoaib Bashir in there. I've never seen him before in the flesh, actually. He's absolutely massive. He's incredibly tall. And, I'm just waiting for Derbyshire to roll out those sort of Pakistani-style fans that they had. If you remember at the Test match, they had the fans at both ends of the pitch, didn't they? They've got the heat lamp out there at the moment on the ground, but they've got. I'm waiting for the big fans. So hopefully Shoaib said, I'll sign for you if you get the big fans out to dry the hell out of that wicket so I can actually take some wickets. And we'll see. I think we might get a spinning wicket at Derbyshire.
I think they're allowed to do that with 100 money as well, because that's infrastructure, so you're allowed to spend that money. Yeah, you'd be all right on that one. Yeah, Neil Godrich. If Neil Godrich is listening, get onto it, mate. You need to get on Amazon and get some of these big fans behind the bowlers, don't you? Definitely.
We tried it a few times at Gloucester, but it's such a fine line because the groundsmen are like real wary of it, because obviously it's their pitch that gets rated down, and if you go too far, you get in trouble. If you don't go enough, you're like, what's the point? And you've played all these finishes. So it's a real fine line. It's really tricky. Because obviously you see, like when Somerset did it when they had Leach and Bess, and they just went too far with it, and you get dock points and all this. So it's a real fine balance.
Yeah.
And it's a tricky one to get right.
It's a fine balance, but I agree with you. Somerset maybe pushed the envelope, shall we say, a little bit once or twice. But I will forever be thankful for Somerset for them absolutely taking Surrey to task. Not last season, the season before, when Surrey flew someone in for a one-game loan. And Archie Vaughan, it was in particular, took him apart. And I'm like, because I think the loan system, my personal opinion, the loan system for 1 and 2 games is a joke. You've got players in the pathways, you've got players in the twos, and just not getting the chance because you're bringing 1 or 2 in, and
especially in Surrey,
especially in
I think
Surrey with their 18 million.
The small counties, I understand. Like you have a few injuries, you need to look elsewhere. But for Surrey, most weeks they're deciding which 11 out of the 15 international players they want to play. And which 4 are going to play in the twos.
Exactly. We're coming towards the end of our chat, Chris. I just wrote a couple of things I want to go round with you. So go back to your academy. Yeah, I conversed with you on LinkedIn about a couple of. How close are you to getting a permanent venue for yourself now? Because I know that's something you've been looking for.
So we've sort of been looking at different places. Actually, maybe going in with a couple of other players from Gloucester, just
great
as a bit of a joint business. So we're quite close to pulling the trigger and finding somewhere, but it's just basically working out financially. It's Bristol's obviously quite an expensive place, so like a space big enough for 4 lanes with other stuff is very expensive. So we're just sort of like working out if it's the right time to take the risk and go for it or not. But like that is my ultimate goal, is I want to have a place to run all my coaching from. Even like the content, creating the content, being able to do that. Like it's like I've got to book out a lane to go whack some balls and create. I want to make everything nice and easy. I want to do as much coaching as I can. I want to set up an academy. I want to make the content, and to do that, like at the end of the day, I need a venue. So that is the plan. It's just working out if now's the time to fire, basically.
Get that one over the line. But then the summer looks like a mixture of coaching, content. Joe's going to love you at Callington for that. And playing for Callington. It's going to be a busy summer still, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It'll probably feel busier because I'm doing so many different things, and you're sort of like right at the minute I'm doing all sorts of different coaching, and my mind feels a bit frazzled because I used to just get given a timetable, right? Turn up here, turn up here. It's very, very different. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just doing all different stuff, because also I've got a family coffee trailer business as well. So I work as a barista in that probably twice a week at the minute. And then in the summer, we work at the cricket ground and all sorts. So I'll be in there as well. So got to chuck that into it. It'll be busy, but rewarding. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it takes me.
Surely the two have to combine there. I mean, you've got to basically run the coffee shop and attach it to the cricket team facility. I'm sure that's crossed your mind. The coffee shop, it's just a way of bringing people into the coffee shop. You need people with large families, so they have to sit there and then they can drink your coffee.
I need to bore them enough so there's not much to do and they just drink loads and loads of coffee. Yeah, I think the problem is I'm a bit of a stickler. I like to be on the machine, so I'll be struggling to to throw balls and make coffees at the same
Oh,
time.
you,
So
oh,
I
oh,
think,
you've got to take
Juggle
charge.
that.
If it's not right, I'm not sure that's the man with who's going to make billions in coffee. If you're the one that has to pour it, there's only so
yeah,
many
I
you can
know,
pour
I
a
know.
day.
That's the problem. I need to relinquish some responsibility to other people.
Yeah, and that was the sort of the final question I was going to ask, is that change from professional to non-professional and that mixing what you're doing, really obvious question. It's a massive change, but it feels like you're enjoying it, mate.
Yeah, no, I am. I think, look, I didn't play loads during the back couple years of my career, and I'd started up the coffee trailer, and I was doing coaching. So, like, although I finished last year, it feels like I've transitioned a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just enjoying. It almost feels like, like I've got so many options to explore. I'm not saying they're all going to be the right ones, but I feel like I've got control and I can do what I want. After so many years of playing cricket, and look, there were times I enjoyed it, there were times I weren't. Which happens. But now I feel like I've got freedom to go down different avenues and try different things.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, we welcome you to the Premier Leagues because there's 7,500 players played Premier League cricket around the country last year. Unfortunately for me, I know far more Premier League players than county names, would you believe? But it's great to have someone who's done that step straight back and say, I want to play, and he's going to enjoy that cricket. And I think what you will do at Callington with the boys down there is you're going to enjoy it, aren't you?
Yeah. I've heard they're a good bunch of guys, and obviously some good players down there as well. So it should be fun. I think we've got Penzance first game, which I know from what I've heard is they're sort of everyone in the Cornwall League's rival. So that should be a good introduction.
We're good friends with both sets of clubs, and funnily enough, the Penzance skipper's been in touch this week. They've got some signings coming out. It looks like they've signed Ben Fletcher in the last couple of days. He's going to be down there, but they're not last year, the year before. Callington and Penzance were like that all the way through to the end of the season, weren't they, Hugh?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, do you have the same when you're playing for somebody like Callington, or you have the same sort of pre-game routines, or are you just so much more relaxed now than you used to be, or is it
I
the
like
same
to
feelings?
try and be more relaxed because I felt like I was quite an uptight cricketer for a while. Like I was very routine based, so I try and just be more relaxed and not get too stressed until I need to be stressed. When I'm facing that first ball, you've got to get that stress
Is
up
that
and
the
be
same?
ready.
Is it the same? Is it the same whether it's I don't know,
I think
dropping
I'm more
Archer
nervous in
running
club
in?
cricket a lot of the time
Really?
because there's that slight more expectation. You're playing county cricket. There's obviously expectation to do well, but you're playing county cricket. If someone gets you out, that's life. Whereas there's that little bit more expectation. I think a lot of the time is I've travelled abroad and it's slightly different because they're literally paying you to be there. They're paying a lot of money for you to be there. You're like, I've got to do well at it. It's slightly different, so hopefully I can be a bit more relaxed. But I like to try and just relax and enjoy it a bit because otherwise it's the same as playing professional cricket, where you're just stressed all the time.
Absolutely. You've got a great bunch down there at Callington to be relaxed. Joe is an absolute top guy. Matt Thompson, one of the big friends of our show. Tomo's gone down to play at Callington now. He's taking that step up to the Premier League as well. So look forward to seeing how you get on there. And we've got to ask you a final question. And it's loaded. It's a loaded question. Please comment on Wizard the Wicketkeeper and his batting style.
That's an interesting one because actually I was meant to do a video with him. The one he did with Triggs and Jack Leach. I was meant to do it, but then I ended up being busy on that day, so I couldn't. It's very much club cricket style, isn't it? But I like what he's trying to do. It's quite interesting.
Now, yourself and Ollie are without a shadow the two content creators who are absolutely rocking it with what's going on there. So I'm going to ask you very openly, when it comes to the Content Creators Cup later on this season, you are officially a content creator, Mr. Chris Dent. If you're not playing on the Sunday of the Content Creators Cup, do you reckon I'll be able to draft you in to come and play for someone?
Maybe. I've thought about it. It's a maybe. Yeah, I feel like although I'm creating content, I don't have
You
quite the
basically got too
personality
many
that they have.
credentials. You've got too
Yeah,
many
like
credentials. Yeah,
yeah, I've
cricketing
got the
credentials are
credentials, but
actually.
I'm not quite as charismatic on camera as they are. I'm a bit more like subdued. So I don't know whether I'd fit in that well in the actual content part. Yeah, I'd probably enjoy to hit some balls and bowl and that. But yeah,
Why
not
do you
sure I'd
think it's
enjoy
taken?
the camera in my
It's taken
face.
us 2 years to put our videos out because we just put it on podcast previously. We're exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Absolutely. Hey,
yeah.
absolutely brilliant catching up, Chris. Really look forward to seeing how you get down in Cornwall. If you turn out in that NCCA, we'll be keeping an eye out on that one. That'll be really interesting. And trying to think, well, Cornwall versus Devon is always in the same group, so that'll be a good one,
Yeah.
to say the least. And look forward to seeing how you get. I just enjoy it, mate. It's really great to see that smile on your face and enjoying what you're doing right now.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thanks for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
Been a
Absolute pleasure, mate.